Hi, so I'm here at Scarpidis Aesthetics, and Dr. Ulysses Scarpidis is going to be giving me a Xeomin treatment. Right now, as you can see, I'm hopefully trying to have him eliminate these lines in between my brows and these lines on my forehead. And this office is gorgeous. Like, I just want to come and hang out here for the day. It's actually quite beautiful. I even got a candy. So keep watching my journey. Tell me when you're ready. So I'm here at Scarpidis Aesthetics, and this is the first step in getting my Xeomin treatment. This is the lovely Julia, and you're going to be putting, you have to put this headband on. Why? Because
the camera doesn't like hair. We like to have everybody look the same in the photos for your befores and afters.
What kind of camera is this?
It's a 3D camera.
Look at this camera.
It takes 3 images and kind of combines them into one so that we can have a 3D image.
So you can see the before and after. Hi, it's Melissa, and I'm just meeting Dr. Ulysses Scarpidis from Scarpidis Aesthetics for the very first time, and I was telling him that every morning I wake up and I see this line, and I'm like, I magically think when I go to sleep it's just going to soften, and it doesn't, and it seems to be getting worse every morning. So that's why I'm here.
Wonderful. So, have you ever had any products done to your face before?
I just had oat therapy on the just on the bottom of my face, but that's it. I've never had an injectable, ever. And I've written about them. I write for Smart Beauty Guide, and I've written about them, and I've always been like nervous, just getting a needle in my face.
So it's a very easy procedure. Millions and millions of people do it every day. Have you heard a lot about Xeomin before?
Well, I've heard about Botox, and then I just did an article on the difference between Botox, Xeomin, and Dysport. And so it seems like Xeomin has less of additives or something, so maybe you could...
Sure. So Botox was the first product in the market and became very wide known. It basically blocks the signal from the nerves to the muscles. So imagine the muscle is folding your skin every day, every time you make a facial expression. So if your skin was a piece of paper and you kept folding it, at some point you'd form a crease.
Right.
And then if you continue to fold that piece of paper, at some point that crease would actually crack, just like those old book binders crack in the middle, right?
Right.
So what Botox does is it softens the muscles, weakens the muscles, so you don't have that harsh folding going on. And if you use too much of it, you can actually freeze the muscle so it doesn't move at all.
Okay. And
Botox was great, and it still is great.
Right.
And then Xeomin came along, and Xeomin took Botox and recognized that Botox has 2 components to it, an active ingredient and an inactive ingredient, and said, well, we don't need the inactive ingredient, so why don't we get rid of it and only have the active ingredients? So that's what they did. So that's why it's sometimes referred to as purified Botox.
Got it.
So it's just a new generation of Botox.
Okay.
It works the same way, it does the same thing, it weakens the muscles, but again, it depends on the doctor who's injecting it to determine how much to give and where to give it. And your face is full of muscles. There's muscles that lift your brows, there's muscles that lower your brows. They're in a constant tug of war. So by weakening one of the teams in this tug of war, you can actually reposition the level of the brow. So it's not just get rid of my wrinkles, it's also give me a facial expression that shows that I'm awake, alert, well-rested. Those are the kinds of things that you should be looking for, not just I got Xeomin or I got Botox, and look, it worked, I can't move my face, right?
Do you use it?
Do I use it? Yes, I do.
I know.
Your face is like
Perfect.
smooth and silk.
Thank you. So it's wonderful to have.
But it looks so young though. It doesn't look frozen. It just looks young. It just looks like a young face.
Well, now.
Like my daughter's 15-year-old face. That's what it looks like.
Thank you. Thank you. Now that we have access to a lot of non-invasive and minimally invasive technologies, they're not making a huge difference in the way we look. But
Right.
if you combine them, string them together,
Right.
the end result is a natural look. It gives you many little improvements
Right.
to make you look the best for your age.
Right.
The trick isn't to, I want to look young again.
Exactly. I don't want to look 25. I want to look 42, but like my best 42.
Exactly, and that's what we can get with minimally invasive technologies. So Ulthera is a great example.
Right.
You never leave after an Ulthera treatment and say, oh my God, it took 20 years away.
Right.
You always leave and say, wow, I feel more confident, that my jawline
Yes.
is better, my skin feels tighter.
That's exactly.
So that's what it does. So if you combine that with a little bit of filler and a little bit of Xeomin and maybe a laser resurfacing procedure, all those things are additive to the point where you're like, wow, what happened? I look amazing. Everyone's complimenting me. It's not that I'm walking down the street and people are like, oh, she had something done.
Right.
It's a very different.
Right. It's like, but you need a physician that understands the subtleties of these things.
Exactly.
Which is something that, when someone's looking for someone to get these injectables, they should really. What would be your suggestions? Someone that's saying, oh, I want to get these things done. What should they look for?
Well, I think that you need to go to the specialist who specializes in things like that. So my recommendation is to find a board-certified plastic surgeon who has spent his entire career looking at what makes someone beautiful. Because the aesthetics for a woman are very different than the aesthetics for a man. The aesthetics for a woman in her 20s is very different than a woman in her 40s, right? And you want different things and you're going for different looks. There's a lot of patients that come to me and say, I want Botox, or I want Xeomin, or I want Dysport, but in the end, really need fillers, or what they're focusing on is a real issue for them, but they miss the bigger picture, and a trained eye can say, yes, but if we fix your frown lines, for example, your crow's feet, your eyes are gonna look even worse. You need to make sure there's symmetry and harmony in your look. So that's really why you want a specialist who does this kind of work. And someone who can offer you everything. If you go to someone who all they do is Botox or all they do is Xeomin, you're missing out because they're never going to offer you a filler or Ultherapy or another treatment that may benefit your overall look. Right? So when you come to the doctor, you may be saying, I'm going for my Xeomin injection, but in reality, you're coming in because you want to look better, fresher, younger, more rejuvenated. So it's a difference, right?
Okay, well, I'm ready. You can, as you're talking, we're going to film it, so you just,
Perfect. So let me see you smile first. Give me a big, big smile. Great. Now frown for me. Bring your eyebrows together. Oh, yeah. And then lift your brows up. Great. So,
I also notice that I have, the crow's feet over here, too.
Sure.
In your opinion, what would you suggest for my face? Because I'm going to put my...
Great. So these are the things that we should do. So first we should start with some Xeomin. And especially since this is a first time for you, my recommendation is to give you a very small amount. It'll still allow you to have full range of motion, just not as strong or just not as evident as before. You know that it doesn't work right away. It takes a few days to kick in. It can take up to 2 weeks to kick in. So it's not one of these things where you're going to leave the office and be like, oh my God, I can't move. You'll start noticing a gradual change. And it lasts for 3 or 4 months. And then again, it's not a light switch. It doesn't just turn off. You'll just notice that you're starting to regain that strength back. So you'll know when it's time to come in to get your second treatment. And that would really, really help with some of the deeper wrinkles that are starting to form.
So there are deep wrinkles, because my husband kept saying to me, you have no wrinkles, but I'm like, yes, I do.
He's a good husband. Right?
But I see them and I say it every morning. I wake up and I see that line. It looks a little deeper.
Right. So that's what happens. It's like that paper being folded that I tell you. Every time that it gets folded, it just gets a little more deeper and deeper. The best time to come, you know how they say Xeomin is preventative, it's not really a treatment? The reason why they say that is because once the skin cracks, once that paper cracks, the only way to like try to get it to look smooth is to give so much Xeomin where you're frozen. And that's a horrible look.
Right.
You want to get it just when it's starting to show so you can weaken the muscle without paralyzing it and then prevent that wrinkle from getting deeper.
Got it.
So to be honest, I don't mind wrinkles. You know, wrinkles show age and age can be a graceful thing. You just don't want to have that one wrinkle that's out of proportion of all the others.
Right.
You don't want to be like, this is my problem area. You just want to be like, this is my look. Right? So for you, I clearly see this wrinkle right here draws my attention.
Yes.
So we definitely need to treat that, and then we need to kind of soften the other ones so they don't progress.
Got it.
Okay, so we're not saying in a year from now, oh, this one also is a really bad wrinkle and we need to do something about it, right?
Does this look like it's cracked already though? Look, I feel like it's almost like it's pretty deep.
It is pretty deep, but I feel that with a little Xeomin, it'll help soften it out.
Right.
The other treatment that I would recommend is something called a Max Frax. What it is a combination of lasers. One of these lasers helps get some of these sunspots away and clears the color and pigment on your skin. Because with age, we start getting a lot of spots and some of our freckles start getting darker.
Yes.
Right? The second laser part of this treatment is a resurfacing laser. And what it does is it helps with all the fine wrinkles, especially around the eye and around the lip.
Yes, around the
right?
lips.
Exactly. Those little wrinkles that are starting to show, those aren't really something that Xeomin would treat. You'd have to really freeze yourself to not be able to see those wrinkles, and you don't want to freeze yourself. But if you can resurface the skin, it'll start looking more shiny and more smoother with that gray paperness gone. And we actually polish that off with an oxygen facial that helps drive peptides that build collagen and elastin under the skin. So when you get that fractional resurfacing, it's actually putting holes into your skin to help heal it from the inside. Well, now that you have holes, it's a great opportunity to introduce these peptides that make your skin even stronger and more elastic. So firm it up, tighten it up even more. Okay, so I would recommend that as a combination for you.
Okay. All right, I'm ready.
All right, perfect. Good. Have we cleaned
Now,
up?
Dr. Scarpidis is cleaning me up. This is like with alcohol, right?
Yes.
Is this gonna hurt? Like a little pinch?
It's a tiny, tiny little pinch. You'll actually be surprised at how little this hurts.
Really?
Yes.
Even though it's a huge needle going into my face.
These are insulin needles?
These are insulin needles. They're tiny, tiny needles that people that take insulin inject themselves several times a day.
Oh, okay. So then that, I guess, right. So then how much could it really hurt?
Right?
Well, video me so you can see exactly.
So put your head back for me. So I'm going to inject here and right in your glabella. Okay, you'll feel a little pinch and then you might feel a little crack inside it, okay?
Okay.
Ready? Deep breath.
It did not hurt at all.
That was one.
It did not hurt at all.
See how easy that is? Okay, one more. And last one on this side. Perfect.
That did not hurt at all. That did not hurt at all. I sound very Staten Island right now. like that did not hurt? That did not hurt. It's so funny how what you think is going to kill you and it doesn't even hurt.
It's a tiny needle.
Okay. Let me ask you now one thing. Do you like the shape of your brow?
Well, these brows are like, I have mascara on them, so I don't really even have, I don't even
So lots of women like to have a curved brow that peaks. Do you prefer, like we can do that, we can actually tweak your brow.
I would love that.
Okay, great, so let's do that, okay? Bite down for me.
Bite?
Mm-hmm, bite down. Perfect.
So by
Relax.
weakening some of the muscles, you cause an actual contour change.
Remember I said that the muscles in the face are in constant tug of war?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh.
So by weakening one of the teams, you're actually shifting the flag where you want it.
Oh.
So if the brow is the flag, you're actually shifting that brow to the position you want.
This does not hurt at all, by the way.
Little pinch.
I was really expecting it to kill.
To kill?
Well, because of the.
You just hear all these stories, you know, and it just shows you that you have to try it.
Bite down for me again. Good. Perfect. Relax.
Doesn't hurt. I'm just really excited to be waking up, hopefully in a couple of days, and to not see that really big crease and just see it soften. I'm really excited about that. Are you still filming this?
Just
by
to
the way?
remind you, it can take up to 4 days
Right.
for it to even start working,
Okay.
and up to 2 weeks to take full effect.
Got it.
So I don't want you going to the mirror and saying, "Is it working? Is it working? Is it working?" Right? Just
Right.
you'll feel
You'll
it.
feel it.
Yeah. Okay. Relax for me a second. Now lift your brows up for me. Relax. Did you hear a little crunch?
Yeah, what is that crunch?
That's just the needle going through a very dense part of the underlying fascia. There's like just fibers that are. Okay, lift up. Okay, relax. Perfect. That's nice turn. How easy was that?
That's it, I'm done?
You're done.
I really,
So I gave you a little bit of a stronger dose in
Okay.
between your eyebrows because no one complains, "Oh my God, I can't really move I can't frown, I can't move that area," right?
Right.
It's an area where people are like, "Oh great, thanks for getting rid of my wrinkles there."
right.
But I gave you a much lighter dose around the eyes
Okay.
because people want to, even though they want to get rid of the wrinkles, they still want to be able to smile with their eyes. They
Yes,
want to have
yes.
that expression.
Yes, yes.
So I feel stronger about having more wrinkles if you can have expression,
Right.
but without looking tired and old.
Right, exactly. I love that you don't, it's not about getting rid of the wrinkles necessarily, it's more about, like, what you said
Softening
before.
them up, exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
And then in the forehead, I kind of gave you some, a little bit, but everywhere. So you'll still have the same motion, but it's gonna be much softer. So when you come back in 2 weeks, when it's taken full effect, we can always tweak it if we want to give you a little bit more. It's easier to give you more, it's not easy to give you
Wow,
less.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm confident that you're gonna be super happy with this amount. This was a nice starting amount, but you'll still have motion. You'll still be able to have facial expression. And I have a lot of patients. We're in New York, so there's a lot of actresses and actors that come. So they want to look young so they can be competitive for younger roles.
Right.
But at the same time, you can't freeze them because their job is all about having facial expressions.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see some actors and actresses that you know probably had something, but it doesn't look, it just, they can still emote with their faces.
Exactly. And that's the art of plastic surgery.
Exactly.
Good.
Well, thank you very much.
So
I
we're
can't
on the
wait.
same page.
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So ice for a few more minutes.
Okay.
And then Julia's going to make sure you're nice and clean. And then you can go back to your day.
Okay, thank you.
That was easy, right?
Yes, it was so easy. It wasn't painful at all.
Okay.
So as you use the Xeomin or Botox, every 3 or 4 months, whatever you decide, will the length increase? Do the muscles atrophy and
No.
start this? Will you get a better effect with less?
That's a great question. So when Botox first started being used for cosmetics, it was used by plastic surgeons on older women. So women that could afford to go to a plastic surgeon were in their 50s and 60s, who were typically housewives or sort of like wealthier New Yorkers. And by then, they had done nothing to make themselves look younger except maybe used a expensive moisturizer. So in order to get rid of the wrinkles, they needed a lot of Botox. So they all had the same look. They were frozen, right?
So true.
So you remember in the
Yes.
80s and 90s, you know, early 2000s, every woman looked the same, right? They looked like they were in a wind tunnel. Maybe they had a facelift without having all the other balancing procedures to make them look young. And it was partly because they hadn't had any treatments done while they were younger, and partly because it was a status symbol to look like that,
Right.
because it meant that you belonged to that group.
Right.
Obviously, our society has matured since then, and we no longer want that. Not only is it not desirable, it's frowned upon. So now what you want is a softer look. So patients start in their late 20s and 30s getting a little thing done here and there. So the Xeomin that we use will last a long time because we're not giving so much to freeze muscles. We're just giving you a little bit to just weaken your muscles. So your muscles won't necessarily atrophy because you're not paralyzing them, you're just weakening them. It's kind of like, you know, when you go to the gym and you go and work out, you're building muscle. But if you go work out, but you're not pushing yourself too hard, you're neither gonna gain muscle, but you may not lose muscle either. It'll kind of be the same.
Great. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you liked it.